Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back. Another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here Sunday, March 23rd after Celtics Blazers, except Sam's not here and I've got Bobby, so I'll put on the overlay. Bobby, how you doing? Thanks for joining.
I don't know if that was a real smooth save in real time or if that was always like the planned intro
I
right
do that on
there.
purpose. It's because I like to catch people by surprise. I for the audio listeners who maybe don't see it originally, but I always start it the same way with like Sam and I are here recording up, blah blah blah, and so it's easier to flow into that and then go just kidding, psych, and then get into the other thing. But yeah, Celtics take down the Blazers pretty convincing fashion. No Jaylen Brown, no Drew Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis. Evidently, no problem for the C's. 129-116, the final score. Tatum 30, 9-9, 1 rebound, 1 assist away from a triple double. Not the best shooting night, but didn't really matter. Picked it up in the second half. Big games all around from pretty much everyone. Sam Hauser made a bunch of threes. Horford made some shots. D. White made some shots. Pritchard, Kornet, like everyone really chipped in here. Even Davidson, who got in with some first quarter minutes. So a good win against what is turning into a very good Blazers team. So don't let, oh my gosh, it's the Blazers, they're not even in the play and fool you. Like this is a real team, and the Celtics played really well.
Yeah, I think that's an admiration we've grown for the teams the Celtics have run into lately, where record-wise, it's not the best. And you can see there's some capture the flag shenanigans going on with them, but they're consistently well coached and play hard. We saw it with Brooklyn and Jordy Fernandez. You see it with Will Hardy and the Jazz, that these teams have a lot going for them while not having the talent necessary to put them in a more competitive situation, which is why you hope to come away with some luck at the lottery and ultimately a top prospect like a Cooper Flag or an Ace Bailey or an Edgecombe or whoever you may end up getting. And for the Celtics, just to keep it shorter here, really impressed in particular, because we're going to go down the line and mention a ton of these guys, but Tatum with the job he did facilitating. It's nothing new, but whether it's, hey, we're going to send two at you, and now he's getting a hockey assist because he's setting the table that way and weaponizing what the defense is doing while trying to limit his scoring, or it's just him directly drive and dish to Al Horford, for example, or a kick out pass to someone like Hauser for a three. I mean, he was tremendous as a facilitator tonight.
Yeah, Tatum was great. I mean, team high plus 16. He was better than that earlier in the game before some of the Blazers runs occurred. But you can just see the difference when Tatum is on the floor versus when Tatum's off of it. Defense has been to cover Jayson Tatum. Just the way he is able to use his own personal scoring gravity, his own personal, um, ability to beat guys one-on-one, to create advantages, create mismatches. Like, it's nothing new. We've seen it all season. It feels like it's been taken to another level this year. And then this game, even though the Celtics were down all these guys, it didn't matter because, I mean, Sam Hauser is one of the best three-point shooters in the league, and he's taking 8 to 10 open threes, 8 of 10 from three, but he's like, of those 8 were wide open because of the gravity guys like Jayson Tatum are able to create. So you just see the impact even when he is not the one directly getting the stat. And if you counted like hockey assists, like you mentioned, or even the assists that come from defenses bending their will to account for him, it's just a whole new ball game when he's on the court.
Yeah, I mean, there's countless examples of things like he brings the ball over half court. Portland immediately sends two defenders at him, and it's just, I'm going to loft it. Ball ends up with Luke Kornet, and he makes a really nice cross-court pass to Sam Hauser for a three, or Payton Pritchard. I mean, it's just, we see it all the time. Portland's just the latest example. And even in the playoffs, we saw it a year ago where teams will sell out to limit Tatum's impact as a scorer. And like you said, he's just keeps getting better and better and better at quickly getting the Celtics a quality look when the opposition does that.
100%. Where to start? I guess we start with Sam Hauser. Even though, like, how much else is there to say outside of holy shit, he hit all his threes? Like, that's kind of it. But like, when a game like this happens, you need to say holy shit, he hit all his threes.
You gotta acknowledge him.
I know he took 1-2 tonight, and he was a layup he smoked. But he played a team high 38 minutes, 38 seconds. He was 8 of 10 from three. He couldn't miss until the very end. It felt like. What a ridiculous Sam Hauser shooting game. These are the games you need from him. There's going to be off nights. There's going to be games where he's just 2 or 3. But when Noah tweeted it, and we've talked about it before upstairs, like when Sam Hauser takes more shots, it usually means the offense is doing something good. That's what happened in this game. And so as much as this is, oh my gosh, look at how many shots Sam Hauser made, it's also look how many good threes the Celtics were able to generate.
Yeah, 1,000%. And Joe Mazzulla talked about, not just that they need Hauser, and they need him to be confident, but how much consistency is a key for him. So he said, hey, I love it when Hauser's getting up 11 shots, to that point you brought up from Noah there, but also in being consistent with his defense and his rebounding. And as he's gotten healthier, I think you're able to see him play more confidently, get in a better rhythm, and make more of an all-around impact and more closely resemble the Hauser they had a year ago. And I think much like we talk about Porzingis felt more like a luxury than a necessity last postseason, I think the same applies to Hauser this go around.
100%. Yeah, I feel like a bigger playoff role for Hauser is due. Same thing with Pritchard. Like, it's weird because they only have so many playoff minutes, but it feels like a lot of these guys are going to deserve to play in the playoffs. So there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. Payton Pritchard, 16 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 6-14 from the field, 4-9 from 3. Rough start, 3 fouls in like 4 or 5 minutes, it felt like. And so he was pulled. Only 3 fouls he got in the night, though, so he did turn it around. Second half was the Pritchard half. He had 11 points, 3-6 from 3. Really figured it out, really turned it on, hit a couple crazy shots as he does. Did it in front of his hometown crowd, which was nice to see for him as well. First start of the season too, which I don't know. Like, I have to assume the only reason they did that was because it was his hometown, but it was weird to see him randomly at this point in the season just get thrown into that.
They heard a 6th man of the year case tonight. That's for sure. But he should have that sewed up. And also a great showing for Papa Pritchard, who, but my favorite moment of his interview with Abby is when she asked, do you have any advice for him? Because he's got these 3 quick fouls, and he starts talking, and then he's like, you know what? Let me just shut up here. I'm just,
I can't tell him anything anymore.
He's in the NBA. He doesn't need my coaching. He's got Mazzulla and co there. He's good. He's not even going to hear this. I don't need to be giving out advice and acting, playing the role of couch coach right now. So shout out to Papa Pritchard. I thought they did a great job with that and shined as well. And Payton, it wasn't the best start, and he owned that afterwards, where he's telling Abby Chin, where he's like, you know what, maybe I should just stick to coming off the bench here. But ultimately, a fine performance, especially like you said there, the second half, once he came back to the role that he's more accustomed to starring in. And so ultimately, 4 of 9 from 3 is a pretty good shooting performance, put 16 on the board, and pairs those 5 assists with 4 rebounds. So a good showing from him. And Jack, I don't know. I do believe that I'm seeing this, but you also wonder if it's someone tells you it, and then you feel like maybe you're kind of like forecasting it out there, if you will. But ever since it was put out there that, Pritchard said, hey, I'm dealing with a hip strain, tonight in particular, I felt like you can kind of see it, like a little bit stiffer. He had a missed 3 that Kornet got a putback slam, and I'm just kind of locked in on Pritchard in that moment. And it didn't feel as fluid in how he elevated as usual. So I do feel like that hip strain is a real thing and something that is just added to the list of ailments that they need to take care of here in the final stretch.
Yeah. A couple plays like grimacing. So it could be like part of that. He's probably hurting, long season. Wouldn't surprise me if they give him some rest down the stretch. That said, it doesn't feel like he's built from the same cloth as Tatum, where he's probably not going to take the rest down the stretch. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Before we keep going, I do need to tell the people about Prize Picks. Bobby, if you do, excuse me 1 second, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. We are now, I believe, 0-12-2 on Prize Picks this season on the pregame, Bobby. We have not been very good. Sam took it upon himself to place the Prize Picks tonight. From what I'm seeing, because I was not available for pregame, he shot 2 of 5. So all I'm saying is I might not be the problem. But no, we very good. But
fade Sam.
Can't be good. Yeah, that doesn't mean you can't be good at Prize Picks. Just fade us. It's the best place to get sports action in more than 30 states: California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida, all included. They have weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday, where the discount select player projections up to 25% to provide you even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Anyways, back to this game. Just going through it here. Al Horford, solid. Derek White, solid. 14 and 6 for Al. Derek had 17, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Jesus. So good games for both of them. Maybe I'm forgetting some fun things that happened. This just felt like standard. Yeah, these guys are really fucking good basketball players. Like, there wasn't anything crazy. I'll look through my notes that I try to keep, or I was on the go today, so I didn't get to sit down and keep as careful stuff as I usually do. But they had a nice like transition possession at the very end of the game where Horford got a block and White had a nice contest. White had a few of his classic, Jose Alvarado-esque steals that I've made a video on too. But this just felt like, yeah, these guys are really good. Horford had a nice post up over, maybe it was Scoot. They found a mismatch there. He used that a lot in the Nets game when there's no Tatum and Brown. So it's nice to see him keep that up. Yeah, this is just what you want from these two guys on a night like this where you're missing 3 starters, and they did their job to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, I mean, they're dependable vets who are going to star in their roles. Derek White, 8 assists, is the second most in the game and shoots the ball efficiently and just continues to make good decisions with it. I mean, another thing that you can highlight with him is how much he has the ball, 3 turnovers. You'll live with that. It's not a big deal at all for, again, his usage rate. Al Horford, like you said, a little bit of everything, including the post up. So really good two-way showing from both of them. And Jack, to skip ahead here, can I tell you, I thought at the beginning that we might be on Baylor Scheierman watch because he comes out, he's making threes, he's making some plays off the bounce. I love the 3 where it's the up fake, sidestep, buries it, and then he gets into the paint, kick out to Hauser for 3, which is interesting because he could be replacing him shortly. So Baylor Scheierman, he definitely came out with a very strong start and didn't fully sustain it, but even when he got the start in the second half, still continued to be a contributor out there.
Definitely. I mean, I still think Baylor Scheierman had a good game in this one. Played 26 minutes. He was the only negative plus minus on the team, which maybe isn't great, but he had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. Like, he's doing a little bit of everything. His passing continues to be one of the most impressive things to me. His like ability and willingness and the fluidity with which he puts the ball on the floor and makes plays for other guys is super fun to watch. His defense is coming along nicely too. He did have a foul on a 3-point shot that I suppose you could argue maybe shouldn't be a foul, not even by like it was a foul, but like, should that be called a foul in the general landscape? Regardless, I thought he's good. I made a video on Baylor recently where discussing like the threes are great, but everything else is what makes him such a good player. And like, you see 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and this dude, I haven't seen a guy like, he's like foaming at the mouth for these fucking rebounds. Like, this dude is crashing the glass harder than anybody else on the entire roster. There's a play in the Nets game a couple games ago, or this Nets game where he fought through like 3
I'm pretty sure I know
people
what
for
you're
an
talking
offensive
about. I
rebound.
clipped
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, this guy is obsessed with rebounds. You saw it in this game. He's a phenomenal passer. Like, in an offense with so many good guys, he is still able to pump fake, draw 2, kick out for 3. Like, if Baylor Scheierman is pump faking and driving and drawing 2 for an open 3 for Derek White and Sam Hauser, either your defense has a problem or the Celtics have a solid player on the up and up, because that is the core of their offense, and the fucking rookie's doing it too. Like, shit, man.
Can I tell you, Brad Stevens nailed this one because it's not something's wrong with your defense. It way more speaks to Scheierman, who you can go back and look at him in college, especially at Creighton, where it's just easier to find tape. This is who he is. He loves to put the ball on the deck and make a play for someone. So that drive and kick style approach, he is very much that. And in today's NBA, they have really phased out the guys who can only spot up shoot, or even if they can just run and curl. If they can't put the ball on the floor when they have to and make something happen, you don't see a lot of those guys anymore. And Baylor Scheierman is just fine and very comfortable. I think those are the type of things that help to get him in rhythm. They certainly will endear you to teammates and allow you to stay on the floor for longer. And then, like you said, with the kind of reckless abandon that he'll play with to go crash the glass, he's diving on the floor for loose balls as well, even after the whistle. I mean, there's definitely a gritty nature to him. I know Tatum might have him changing it up, but I love when he's blowing a kiss to the other team's bench. So I like the swag, if you will, that Baylor Scheierman brings to the floor.
Scheierman's fun, man. He's fun to watch play. I very much enjoyed it. I had something else I wanted to mention about him too, but I can't exactly remember what it was right now. Regardless, then, Dude, Luke Kornet is so good.
Let's get it.
13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 of them offensive rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 6 in the field, perfect. A bunch of putbacks, a bunch of offensive rebound tap-ins. The tap-out rebounds have become a staple now. Those are super fun to see happen. The pick and roll with Tatum, which I know Owen Phillips of the F5 put out like these stats on, that it's like the second best points per possession pick and roll in the NBA. Minimum like something 400 possessions or whatever, and it's behind Jokic and Murray, and like just ahead of Siakam, Halliburton, and SGA Hartenstein. Like, it's just fucking Luke Kornet. What do we like? He graphed the most impact stats versus the least basketball reference searches, and he wrote 50,000 words on why Luke Kornet is the most underrated player in the league. Like, Owen Phillips is crazy, but like seeing Luke Kornet have this impact, and you can see it, man. Oh my God, the Celtics, the Luke Kornet minutes are fucking incredible. He is just such a good player. His passing is amazing for his position, especially. He had this, I think you mentioned earlier, this amazing cross-court pass to Pritchard that I like noted down. Like he was gonna throw up a lob, but then he was midair and kicked it out to the corner for an open Hauser 3. He's awesome. He was barking down the court at one point. He did it too little. Like this was an ignorant Luke Kornet game.
First off, that's a great way to put it. An ignorant Luke Kornet game should be the title of this one. And do you realize what aura you have to have? Name me another backup who, when they go on the road, they have the crowd barking with you. Like Bobby Portis gets the Bobby chants at home. And yes, they were Celtics fans, but even some Portland fans probably thought, why not? This is fun, and got in on the barking. Maybe not a lot, but perhaps a small percentage. It might not have been zero, is what I'm saying. That man, I mean, find me another backup, especially a backup center. And really, when everyone's healthy, your third string center is getting that on the road. That's ridiculous. So Luke Kornet, I've said it too many times already in this broadcast here, a star in the role. Luke Kornet epitomizes that and just keeps getting better and better and better. Now, the unfortunate flip side is, unless he wants to take a discount to stay, he's probably priced himself out of Boston. Certainly if he's going to take his fair market value this summer compared to a year ago when he was Woj's first tweet. But Luke, I mean, just from the screening to his impact on the glass at both ends, you talked about what him and Tatum are able to produce, and that it's second to Jokic and Murray is just bananas. And how good he is finishing at the rim on the short roll. Something that I don't think he gets enough credit for, Jack, is that he can create an opening for that kick out option. He will manipulate that weak side defender with his eyes, and now all of a sudden he's getting it to who he wants to. So for a center to be able to do that, who's over 7 feet tall, is very impressive, and you don't see it a ton, especially for someone whose skill level has them coming off the bench. Granted, there are teams certainly that he could start for. So Luke Kornet, in the way that he's reinvented himself the last couple of years, he just keeps getting better and better and better, to where the only question left is, will he make a 3 this season?
Yeah, that's the question. And I do have a theory of the Luke Kornet offseason conundrum, which I'm going to leave you on the edge of your seat for a second, because I have to tell the people about Game Time, Bobby. I have to tell them about Game Time. It's the best place for all your ticketing needs. Baseball season's coming up. I say this to say all the time. Actually, I'll get your opinion. I think the gap between, like, if you're talking about the gap between watching a sport at home versus watching the sport in person, I think the gap for baseball is the biggest by far, because I don't like watching baseball at home too much, but I love going to a Sox game. Would you agree?
1,000%. When we go to Fenway, that's fun, keeps me engaged. If I have the Red 100%. Sox on TV, I can really only pay attention for like the last 3 innings.
Exactly. So I'll show you a little bit of Game Time right here. We looked at the Sox last time, but I'll look at it again because I miss Fenway and I want to see it. But the star right here tells you it's the super deal. It's the best bang for your buck, and it's on the Monster for this one too. So that's actually pretty awesome, even though it's standing room only. So if you want to see whatever. But the Fire is the cheapest deal in the stadium, which is great seats everywhere at Fenway. So make sure to check that out as well. You can toggle on and off the feature to where you see the price with included fees, so you don't get surprised with any jump scare fees at the end of your purchasing process. It includes lowest price guarantee on Game Time as well, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. On top of that, Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. Just like I showed you too, you can see your seat on the site as well, which is perfect. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it in Game Time? But back to my idea that I said on the last pod, but I'll explain to you here. I think they should just flip the Horford and Kornet contracts. Horford gets to take 1-year deals on the minimum until he decides to retire, so he doesn't have to commit to anything. Kornet gets a little pay bump around the 9-10 million range that'll cut into the mid taxpayer, whatever, MLE. And then they're inevitably probably going to have to trade one of the big contracts anyway. So doing that allows you to stay the same on the bottom end. Kornet gets to stay in Boston. Horford gets to keep taking these 1-year deals till he decides to retire. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's my like windy fingers. Maybe we can go that direction.
I'm all in on that. That makes perfect sense to me. So really no notes on it. It's strictly a matter of what is new ownership's appetite for, how steep can the tax bill get? What do the Celtics do in the playoffs? And who, if anyone, who has a larger contract that's on the books for next season is ultimately moved. So those are all the questions that have to get answered. But if they're willing to run it back and those two are agreeable to flipping contracts, and I would think Horford, I can't see him playing anywhere else. And he doesn't want to retire. And he's been open about playing into his 40s. And he describes his workout regimen as a lifestyle. So I could see Horford very easily being open to that. And for Luke Kornet, that seems plenty fair as well. So yeah, I like the idea. And I also find it realistic.
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of we'll see if Luke wants to get paid somewhere else because he could get a lot of money. But
yeah, if he's
on
just
top
going
of that,
the highest bidder, and
I know
maybe that's someone who offers him a starting role, and that's enough to get him to go. Then you've certainly earned that, Luke Kornet. Congratulations. But if he wants to stay here, then that does seem like the path to making it happen.
Yep, I agree. Last two players who got some playing time in this one. Tory Craig first, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 5 points, 2 rebounds, both offensive rebounds, assist and a steal. And both of his offensive rebounds were like, oh, what the fuck? How'd he get that offensive rebounds? Like Tory Craig is fun. He doesn't do much, but Joe Mazzulla like constantly says, especially when it pertains to Tory Craig, like 30 seconds is just as important as, playing 30 minutes or whatever. And Tory Craig makes the most of his 30 seconds or however many minutes when he's on the floor. So good credit to him.
Yeah, the shooting is what matters the least with him, but it's always nice to see one go down. So he buries a corner 3 today, and that's got to feel good. But you're guaranteed to get hustle and energy and strength. And so he gets some grown man, in particular, offensive rebounds and is able to extend possessions. So consistently what you see, like you said there, whether it's 30 seconds, a couple minutes, however long his shifts might last, he tends to be a positive contributor, even if it's small, even if it's more of the intangibles. That's his job, and he does it well.
100%. And last guy, JD Davidson, got real minutes in this game, early game minutes. Shot 1 shot, made the 3, had 4 points, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Rebound, assists, nice steal when they were in the zone. It was fine minutes, right? I don't want this to turn into like, oh crap on JD Davidson. Like he played well. I think. Do you think JD Davidson will be here next year?
It's unpredictable.
I
wouldn't be surprised if the market, we talk about players like a Lonnie Walker getting frozen out, for example, and obviously back in the Sixers now, but we saw what last summer looked like for Walker. Yeah. And there's plenty of players who that applies to keep it local, O'Shea Brissett being another one. So JD Davidson, it's important to remember that he's only 22 and he certainly made a lot of growth in his time at the G League and rewritten the main record books. But at the same time, if you're telling me that his best option is ultimately to come back here on a 2-way, that wouldn't surprise me.
He can't be on a 2-way anymore.
Oh, that's right.
3 2-way years. That's what I'm saying. So like, that's where it gets
an
really
Exhibit 10
tricky.
deal, though, it still could be maybe something like that. As unfortunate as that might be, and maybe a team bets on the upside and how well he's looked in the G League. But
yeah,
I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if he's at the Auerbach Center early next fall. So we'll have to see there. Even when it comes to the conversion conversation, Jack, I still like, I see him getting opportunities tonight that Drew Peterson didn't, but I still think one of them gets converted, and I would think that it's Peterson.
See, I've hedged my bets on Davidson to like reward him. You traded Springer and signed Craig, so you traded the guard for a forward. I think Peterson makes more sense, like for long-term development, like if you want to take a chance on a guy. But I also wonder how much they're like, okay, Scheierman's playing really well right now. Like we kind of like him. Jordan Walsh we've invested in. So just signed Tory Craig. Like maybe they look at it as like we need an extra guard for the run just in case for the playoff run, or like let's reward the guy who was, worked his ass off. I 100% agree with you that Peterson makes more sense from a basketball perspective based on how they've looked and how they would fit. I don't know. I'm rooting for JD, man. I feel bad. He's probably going to win MVP of the G League this year. He's up there as one of the potential candidates. It's tough because it feels like he's such a ball dominant player in order for him to be his best. And he's probably just not going to get the opportunity to be a ball dominant player in Boston. So I hope another team takes a chance on him, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. But anything else you noticed from this game that you think was worth discussing, or do you think we touched on it all?
No, I feel like we hit on it all, and it was nice to see everyone from the second unit in particular have their moments in this game. And you kind of expect that against a team like Portland, but it's still something that allows you to appreciate what each one of them individually brings to the table.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to How About Them Celtics. We do pregame shows 30 minutes for every single game, so make sure to tune into YouTube there. Check out Bobby on Twitter, at Bobby Koritsky. I forgot to put the tag back on after we shared screen for game time. But check out game time. Check Bobby out, at Bobby Koritsky on Twitter. You can see that on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Jackson on NBA. That's it for us. Goodbye.
Check,